going. And it's preparing to live stream the meeting. And there we go. We are live.
Yay.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, I have been waiting for this, and I am so excited to have with me Diane Allison Beyersdorfer. And I want to read her bio because it's like, I just love this woman. Diane is an author, intuitive healer, energy worker, specializing in healing the inner child and overcoming grief. She is a reverend in the International Metaphysical Ministry with a degree in metaphysical counseling. Welcome, welcome, Diane. I'm so excited you're here with me this evening. How are you doing tonight?
I am well. I'm just filled with all kinds of good energy tonight. So this should be fun. We're going to have a good time.
I am excited. You know, we had a great day today. You were with me earlier today as we celebrated my ordination. So we're both reverends here. Can we talk? That's what I want to say. Can we talk? And, you know, I've known you for several years now, but pretty much at a distance because you were moving around and everything. And we just had all mutual friends. And I remember the bracelets that I ordered from you, come be alive with me. And that was such a beautiful thing. And I think I gave one to Terry and several other people. But when this whole pandemic started, well, a bunch of us that had all known each other, Terry Angel included, we all kind of came together in a whole new powerful way. And we have the Angelic River family, and you're now also a part of Enlightened World Network doing your show. And, you know, I'm so excited. So first of all, let me ask you, I want people to know about the Inner Child show, the work that you're doing every day and the show that you've got going on. And let's talk about what's going on today. Huh?
The inner child, let's see. Well, most of you, at least you do, you know that I lost my husband a few years ago. And in the process of healing, really, it was like I had two things that I had to learn. First off, we're learning self-love. I had to learn oh my gosh, I've changed a lot because he really taught me to get in and start treating myself better, you know, as well as I'm going to treat other people. I got to start with me. And then it was, I got to get into these memories. And I would go deeper and deeper and deeper until I got to these places with that little child. And that brought me back to life. It changed me. It's like there's a transformation when we bring that child back out to the surface and allow that child to have full reign sometimes. Sometimes it gets a little crazy. And other times it's like, oh my gosh, I found my life again. You know, it brings us back to life. So I just want to show other people how to do that. It's my calling.
It is. And I know I have participated almost every day in your daily broadcast that you do with the inner child. And then you and I did some private work together with my inner child, little Jeryl. And thanks to you, little Jeryl is getting sugar-free chocolate now at night, getting a treat every night because you know I'm on keto, and I really went on. I'm a recovering sugar addict. Let me put it that way. And we had a tendency to binge on sugar, and so I had to cut that out just to get my health back. And so you really taught me how to bring some balance in and how to nurture her. And since I've started doing that and holding her and talking to her and acknowledging her existence, my life is smoothed out in areas that just haven't been smooth. It's amazing how that happens. Do you find that a lot with the people that you're working with?
I do, because that inner child is so powerful. You think about when you came into this world, that little bitty baby was like the most powerful you've ever been. You just remembered who you were and you were filled with this beautiful energy of creation. And then we just get taught to push that little child down, down, down. And she or he goes through so many things, so many painful experiences that we kind of bury them. We put up a lot of blocks around ourselves, and that little child is just buried in there somewhere. Well, it's a little powerhouse. It's your love package, you know? So when you start to access that little child again, it's life altering. It's like you suddenly, that energy of creation starts to come forth again. And we think, oh, we have to put that part of us behind because we're grown ups and we got to live in the world and we can't use our imaginations and we can't play. That imagination is so powerful. That's the part of you that manifests. So without having that child, the energy of your child awake and alive and happy and feeling as if she or he is cared for or loved, there's the creation is coming out of fear because that child is still afraid. So you're staying in a fear, you know, in a place of fear, and you're creating a life for yourself that is far less than you deserve. So by waking up, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got a fairy tale life, you know, just by letting that child have full reign, or at least more rain. How's that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it really does make a difference. And so you talked about also the fact that one of the things that got you through once you kind of went through, I know you went through a lot of powerful grief, and I've done a grief workshop on all the various stages of grief, but you came to a place of where you needed to do self-care and self-love. And self-love has been a big issue for me in my lifetime. And so how I'm starting to see by working with you how the self-love and the inner child issues really go hand in hand, because it's starting to become my understanding that it's as little children in that inner child that doesn't feel loved at times. And so we carry that through into adulthood. How would you address that? And what are your thoughts on that?
I think the whole world is filled with people who are broken, scared children, even up to the top. You know, if you look at these people that are leaders that are creating unrest and they're creating fear, and they're doing horrible things. There's atrocities all over, and it always comes back to something that happened along the way. They didn't feel that love, that nurturing. So, you know, there's really two. You're healing the inner child, and you're also working with yourself, because you have to be, in order for that child, in order to come in contact and help that child to heal, first you got to love yourself enough to be able to go in and find that child. And when you do, you got to be willing to hold that child and cradle. So it's a two-step process. It's not just, oh, I'm going to walk around being this happy little child. It's like, oh, I got to find myself first. I got to love me. And then I'm going to love that child back into a wakefulness so that then she can come out and start creating. And I think it's the way that we change the whole planet. I think that's the way we start bringing love back, is because it goes back to that little child that was abused or neglected or hurt or bullied or sick or whatever kind of life that we had. Um, we just need to bring that child back. We really do. I think it's so powerful, and people just, they don't realize. So
I would agree. You know, and I know a lot of the things that you've been teaching us to do. I love how you talked about getting shaving cream and just playing with shaving cream, or finger painting, and bringing that creative side out. What are some ways that we can start to touch to our inner child and start to play and really just lighten up overall?
what do you do? I knew when my little inner child was really coming back to life because I saw an open field of snow, and I just immediately went to that snow and laid down and made an angel without even thinking. It's like that's where you need to be. You hear those that little voice in your head that says, "Oh, do you want to go stomp in that mud puddle? Do you want to go play in the stream? Do you want to take your shoes off and put them in that cold water? Do you want to go build a sandcastle?" You'll hear those things. Don't ignore it. You know, that's really the most simple way to bring that child back. If you have children in your life, you know the kinds of things they like to do. Don't just give them the tools to play. Get in there and play with them. Don't be afraid of physically allowing yourself to be like the child again. That's how you, that's the best way to get back in touch, is listen, because that voice of your child is always there, and it's always whispering. It's always like, don't you want to play? Don't you want to play?
Yeah.
It's your creative nature. You know, you might find a new skill. Finger painting might turn into something that's incredible because you're reconnecting with that very creative child. So I really think it's just listening to that small voice inside of you.
And I think that one of the things that we're learning in our community is that when we get creative and when we have joy and have fun, we really then start to manifest other things in our lives, not just having playtime, but it really becomes practical in how the doors in other areas of your life open up when you start to open up your heart and have joy and love and laughter. Is that been your experience as well?
Yeah, let me tell you a story. One thing that keeps coming to me here lately, because I really feel as if I'm like when I walk around my neighborhood, I feel like I'm living in this fairy tale land. And not too long after Steve died, I was really, really drawn. I found my bathroom floor. I wrote about that too. It's like I hit that bathroom floor and that's where I found myself again. But when I started to come back out of that bathroom, I I put fairy tale music on, like it from Tangled was a big one. All kinds. I had whatever I could find. I looked up Disney and I put in my earbuds and I would take a walk through the woods with my dog and everything would come alive to me. It was like there was electricity and, I would see these animals and I was just like, I was seeing the world through new eyes. It was my child was coming back in and she was seeing them. When you let your child go free, it's like, those little dragonflies, they're fairies, and you see these little animals, these rabbits. I saw a skunk come walking right at me and I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, hey, I think he just wanted to come and say hi, It
Wow.
it literally changes us. But the reason why I tell you that story is because now it's been a few years later and I'm looking and I'm seeing where while I was spending that time coming out of my grief and listening to those fairy tales and allowing my inner child to really kind of have full reign, I was creating, I was manifesting. And it takes some time for us to get into receiving mode to really get, but now I'm looking and I'm like, my gosh, I was working on something when I was walking through the woods listening to those fairy tales because now it's real. Just a few years later, I see it. So
I
that's
love
how powerful it
this.
is.
It is powerful. It's like we can manifest like that when we
Hmm.
are in love and joy. But one of the other things that you did, and I'm sure a lot of this has been based on your own experience of your life. You work with people with grief, and with this pandemic, the world as we know it is gone. We are deathing the old, and we don't know what the new world is going to look like. We just don't know yet. But we're we're grieving our loss of control. We're grieving in a way that we have never grieved before on this planet because we've never been in this place. We're grieving not being able to be with our families. We're grieving where there's all the thousands of people that are passing away from this virus. We're grieving that. I mean, just our way of being. Even going to the grocery store. I went to the grocery store the other day and I had on my mask and just what the whole experience was not even familiar to me. It was as if I was in this surreal land. And as everyone is going through this, we're grieving the old normal. How do we how do we get through that? And I know we have to acknowledge it and release it, but how do we couple of questions here, and I'll try we help separate them out. One, how do we soothe our inner child because they're scared too? But how do we use this creativity? How can we move through this in a really productive way and try to keep our vibration high? What tips do you have for that?
I think that's going to depend on the situation. There's no easy way for these people that are actually in loss, and some of them are losing, multiple people in
Yes.
their lives right now. And there really isn't, I don't think there's an easy way when you're actually in that grief. There was no easy way for me. I had to go through it.
Right.
And don't think that it, even though I think what I would tell those people is whatever your belief system is, make space for those people that you're losing. Because yes, physically they're leaving the planet, and yet the energy is still so alive. We don't, to me, it's like I had to, in my deepest parts of grief, I had to, the hardest parts were going to the closet and seeing a pair of shoes that was not going to be worn again, or seeing his clothes in the closet, or he wasn't in my bed with me. He wasn't laughing. It was that huge empty space that he left behind for me. So the most beautiful thing that I did, the most healing thing that I did, was to hold space for him. I would say, hey, Steve, I'd grab the dog's leash and I'd hook him up and I'd say, Steve, will you take a walk with me? And even if he wasn't, I wasn't all that aware necessarily that he was there. I didn't know if he was. It didn't matter. That's the important thing, is it doesn't really matter if you can see them or hear them or feel them necessarily. Hold that space, because in holding that space for them, there's still some life there. There's not a big empty place. I could visualize him, and your imagination and your visualization is so important. It's like I could see him walking through the trees to me with a big smile on his face. And that's what carried me through. It was like, just don't let yourself, what's my favorite phrase? Don't not believe. Like if you will just allow yourself to be still, and for just a few moments feel their presence and give them the chance to show you. It may be a butterfly, it may be a rainbow, and whether it's actually them or not, if you believe that that's them sending you that, there's joy and there's healing in that belief of just allowing them to. I mean, who else can say that they've got a guy in their lives that sends them rainbows, birds, butterflies, all these beautiful, miraculous things? That's what we've all got. We still have these loved ones in our lives that still want so much for us to notice the gifts that they're leaving for us. So I would say that's part one of this, is to realize that there's still, to at least try. It's difficult in grief, but if you can step up just one step and just look around you and look for signs, because you will have signs if you're looking for them. And the second one, I thought I saw the bear, sorry. And the second one would be when you're going out, when you were talking about the grocery store and you're going out amongst these people that are really hurting. We are in a space where we have been preparing for this for a long time. Yes. And so we have stepped out ahead. And so we know the best way to do this is to wrap yourself in a cloak before you go out, before you go and put that mask on your face and put your gloves on. Can you wrap yourself in an energy cloak of love? And then when you walk out, you're reflecting out to these people around you. You're actually giving off that energy of love, that energy of calming. They may not know where it's coming from. They won't know, most of them won't. And yet they're going to respond to you, hopefully in a better way, because there's a calming energy in the space. So that's like the two-stepper, I would think. It's for those of us that aren't actually in loss to try to carry that light for those people that are hurting right now.
Yeah. And that was the thing when I went out into the store. I literally would push love out from my heart space to everyone that I encountered. And in fact, I had on my mask, my homemade mask, and as I was breathing, it was fogging up my glasses, right? And I'm in the produce section, and there's this woman. She was probably 8 feet away from me. And she looked at me, and I just started laughing, and she started laughing. I said, "Are you having as much trouble with this as I'm having?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh." She said, "I used to have another layer." She said, "I couldn't keep it up. I could not keep it on me." And we just sat there, we stood there, and we just giggled behind our carts, And and I think one of the ways that I think helps me at times is humor, and that's part of bringing that childlikeness out, but it's finding something to laugh at. It not only does humor build your immune system, but it relieves the pressure, does it not? And how do you find that humor? Where do you find that humor? We as spiritual people sometimes get really serious. Now, you've got a great relationship with your inner child, but some of us get a little bit on the serious side. So how do you do that?
my kids are awful. They're hilariously awful. And they send me these things. And my daughter has gotten me hooked on, I'm serious. They have these great accents. And if you get them all in the same room, it's like, I used to say I take my circus on the road, you know, like I'm just going to pack them all up, and because they're so funny and they, you know, they would entertain. They're so much funnier than I am. So I enjoy the things that they send, and I laugh. And I find that my humor can go a little bit in the, you know, in their direction. Sometimes I laugh at things that maybe I shouldn't, but it's so, you know, it's just being free. It's not, I will give thumbs up to TikTok because my daughter got me started on that. And I sat here today for probably, I'm wasting so much time, but I, maybe it's not wasting the way you're
No,
talking.
I don't think
I
it
was laughing
is.
so hard at the silliest video today. I laughed and chuckled for probably 15 minutes, and it was just a silly thing. So I say, you know, whether you're looking at your favorite TV shows, when you're looking for your entertainment, look for things, you know, there's a lot of TV shows out there, and some of them are just going to pull your energy down. And then
Right.
some of them are
Yeah.
just hilarious. So if you want to pull your energy up, do that. Find that stuff that's funny and just watch it, and don't feel guilty about laughing. It's part of this. It's what's going to help us get through this. We
I,
need it.
I I would agree with you. And I really believe that we have been on such a fast track. Humanity has been on such a fast track. And we're just, I mean, I'm 62. I marvel at young parents today because their kids are so involved and they're working and they're going here, they're going there. I have friends, younger friends who have teenage children and younger children. I think, I don't know how they do it. I mean, I seriously do not know how they do it. I can barely keep up with my husband and I, let alone I can't imagine having children. And I really believe that this time it's a time out for a time in,
Hmm.
to go inside. So it's so important, I think, to really take advantage of this time and to take the time to laugh, to take the time to watch a funny movie, watch one with your kids, watch one with your spouse, just watch it by yourself if you want to. It doesn't matter. But to have that laughter, to have those moments. And another thing that I find that I would love for you to talk about for just a moment, because I know you're a nature girl and I am too. I'm right here on the river and I love to be outside and get grounded. You do that a lot. You're in Tennessee and you're in the mountains of Gatlinburg in the
Smoky
mountains.
Mountains,
So yeah,
yes.
the Smoky Mountains. How does that help you, stay balanced in what you're doing? Get
Wow. All I got to do, I don't know if it's the rock around here or what it is, but all I got to do is step outside barefoot in the grass. And so really, if my mood starts to drop at all, there's a mountain stream right there I can go stand by. There's trees right out back. And I really, really suggest to people, take the time to hug a tree. There's nothing wrong with hugging those trees. And I mean a good heart to heart hug. I mean, you get your chest right against that tree, because nature wants to give us back that energy. And it's so healing. It's like almost instant. I can be in a bad mood and I walk out there and I'm like, okay, I'm good. All I got to do is see a couple of cardinals fly by me, or let's see, I saw a herd of turkeys a little while ago. I was tired today, really tired. And I took a walk out in nature, and 18 turkeys were walking down the street right in front of me. And I was like, all right, how can I stay in a bad mood? They're the funniest birds on the planet. And so I'm laughing at these silly turkeys and I'm good. Just let it. That's all. You just got to go and just let it. Don't tie yourself. I know we're supposed to be in a stay at home order, but that doesn't stop us from going and finding a little bit of nature. Go out and find a tree.
Right, right. There's a difference between staying at home and being out in nature and being in a shopping mall or going around people in that. I know they lifted the stay at home off the beaches here in some of the beaches in Florida, and they're not really observing those 6 foot rules or anything. And that's a different ballgame. But what we're talking about is like, even here, I mean, it's just Terry and I and my husband, and we've been quarantined, so we know we're all good, but we go out and sit on at the river and just sit there. And tonight we went out and just sat and watched the birds and listened to the sounds. And Wally the gator came by again tonight, and just really enjoyed just sitting in the swing and smelling the air and feeling the breeze. And then I went and stood in the grass and just felt my energy go down into the center of Mother Earth and just got so grounded because I was pretty high earlier from joy and love. I mean, I was just like, I really thought at one point I would spontaneously combust today from the happiness that I was feeling. And so I thought, I truly need to get a little bit grounded before I go on tonight, or poor Diane won't know what to do with me. And but in any way that anyone can, I know there's a lot of people who are watching this tonight. I know Sharon Boyle over in the UK. She goes out and she also sends videos of her trips out with her girls and everything in the river. And we do a live sunset stream almost every single night if we have a beautiful sunset. And people watch that. And they're not here, but there's a dialogue and there is that connection to nature. You can imagine yourself sitting there watching that sunset. And even in the morning when we do coffee and conversation, the river's in the background. So you can feel the calm of it. So there are a lot of ways that even if you live in an apartment or whatever, that you can maybe have that nature, even if it's just opening up your window and smelling the fresh air. Do you think that's, I find that's pretty good for people. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was talking to Paul yesterday and he said they put out a bird table. So right out, he's got a little veranda or whatever you want to call it, balcony, and they put a bird table out there. So he's just sitting inside and he's watching those birds and he's feeling more connected to nature doing that. So whatever you got to do, even if you're inside looking out, the birds are there. Nature's there. Put out a bird feeder, do something to attract them, and then just sit and enjoy.
Now, see, that's great. I love that idea. I really do love that idea. So what are some other, I'm really focused myself personally on taking some self-care time. I think it's so important. I have an outdoor shower and an outdoor bathtub. It's enclosed, folks, so you can't see anything, trust me. Unless I leave the door open, but there's nobody here, so it doesn't matter. But that for me is to take a nice long hot Epsom salts bath, just to soak outside and to listen to. I have a little water feature in the meditation garden, and just to listen to that water trickle, that just really decompresses me. What are some other ways that people that you know of that people can, you do breath work a lot, right? Could you talk about that a bit?
I do breath work. I'm self-proclaimed, got to do things my own way kind of person. I've been that way for probably many lifetimes. Yeah. So I do yoga, but it's my own kind of yoga. I started that on the bathroom floor way back. And all I did was let me feel into, I had a lot of pain during Steve's illness. Being an empath, I picked up a lot of his symptoms. I had a lot of stuff to work through after he passed. So I started, where's that pain? Let me stretch into it. And it just turned into my own version of yoga. I've done a lot of Kundalini meditations. So I do a lot of that, we do the ocean breath and we do the breath of fire and things like that. But mostly I find that if I start doing exercises like that, it's really as the spirit is leading me. And so now it's like when I breathe, I kind of do it my own way. I push it back. Like we're used to breathing in our spine or in our chest, in our lungs. But what happens when we visualize that breath in another part of our body? You've got some pain, some discomfort someplace in your body. Can you send that breath to that place? So, and I love to do that. And I actually sometimes too will visualize, you can feel it in the back of your throat. Instead of the normal breathing up here that we all hear coming through the trachea. Yeah, trachea. You can push it back further and you can hear it in the back of your throat as it's coming up. And it's powerful. It's like you're just literally pulling that breath almost from somewhere down in the earth, and it's coming all the way up, and you can feel it going all the way up your spine. You kind of push it back and then you just bring it up, and you can almost, the only way I can explain it is I can actually feel it coming right up through the vertebrae, like it's just coming right up and into here and then up. And it's super powerful. It's like the breath of spirit. That's the only thing the only way I can describe it is it's a deeper, it's my spirit breath. I can't give it a better word.
Okay, so it's not something somebody could go on YouTube and there'd be a video on or something.
I guess I could make one.
I think that
we can practice that here tonight if you'd like. We can practice just doing a breath.
Great. That would be really great, because I'd love to do some things that they can actually do at home and take away with them. You know what I mean? And do that. Do you want to try to lead us through it and see what happens?
We can try to do that. Let's see. I'm kind of, the energy is building anyway, so it's a good time. That's typically when I'm doing the show, it's like all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm full of energy, let's do something. So it's there, it's really strong. So let's see what we can do for just a minute. This is only going to be a breathing exercise, but I want you to know that in the breathing exercises, when you're calling in, when your intention is on healing and on feeling spirit, that is all you got to do is put that intention on it. There's no magical, nobody's more magical than the next guy. We can all do this. So let's all focus our energy. Whoever's watching right now is really focus your energy on allowing spirit, your own Holy Spirit, higher self, the energy of the creator that you believe in, that you call on, the spirit or the angels, and allow that energy to really flow right now, because it's just so abundant right now. We are absolutely the most wealthy creatures ever in this energy. So we're calling on that. I want you to try to relax your body as much as you can. You just kind of like bleh, be like little kids, they just kind of, they're all bleh, and they let their arms just kind of flow out. So we're just like a bunch of little children right now. We're really super cool. You can be like a super cool teenager that just kind of like just hanging. We'll do the teenager thing today. They're just all just cool. So we're really cool right now. And as we're doing that, the energy is right at the base of my spine right now. I actually feel heat at that root chakra. And so instead of coming down, we're going to go up. We're going to pull it right up our spine. So I want you to visualize, let's put a bright light right at the base of your spine. Okay. And we're going to breathe that bright light right on up, all the way up to the crown. So instead of just breathing here, you're going to fill your lungs really good. And then as you breathe up, let it visualize that energy coming all the way up every one of your vertebrae and all the way into the back of your throat. And if you're really feeling it, you will actually hear, don't be embarrassed. Let it just make this noise as it's coming up out. And if you really feel it strong, sometimes I have to throw my head right back and it's like, it just shoots right out the top of me. So just whatever you feel, sit there and just relax, wiggle. We're starting right now. It's at the base of your spine. I'm going to get quiet. I want you to breathe that energy up as big as you can. Here we go. Can you feel it? I want to
I love it in the back of my throat. I can feel it's almost like a guttural almost feeling. Yeah.
That's exactly. And I really recommend that people, there's a lot of, I notice now when I do these go lives that often spirit seems to be leading me in the direction of telling people to continue to work these lungs, expand them as big as you can, as often as you can. Even if it doesn't have to be in meditation, you could be in the middle of the grocery store, you can be wherever you are. Yes. There's a lot of clearing going on and healing going on in the lungs and in the throat. And so we've had to continually, pretty much every day, there's exercises to work that throat. So that exercise that we just did, that guttural, bringing it from your spine all the way up to the back of your throat and then up and out is a clearing. You're keeping all these areas of your body that are affected by this virus. Right. You're keeping them clear. And it's a powerful exercise. And I'm so thankful to Spirit for bringing that to us and showing us how we can keep ourselves clear from all of this virus. And I just think it's a miracle, truly, to be a part of that they
It
show us.
really is. It really is. And that seems to be, in fact, I was watching this one person who had the virus
Mhm.
and was talking about the fact that he had this doctor call him and say, listen, here's some things you really need to do. And one of them is you need to take really deep breaths and really work your lungs, no matter how painful it is. And he said it was horrendously painful, but he kept doing that. And so for those of us who have been fortunate enough not to have contracted this virus, you're right. I'm hearing this right and left, and I'm hearing it from channelers. I'm hearing it from everybody. I'm hearing it from news sources, doctors, and everything else to do that. Another one that you do that I love is go into the deep end of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Gonna
talk
do that
about that.
tonight.
I love this one. My
Okay.
inner child loves this. We used to do tea parties at the deep end of our
Mhm.
swimming pool when I was a kid. So let's talk about that.
Let's try one of those too, because it's exactly like this one that we just did, is that guttural in the throat, clearing all that energy out of here. When we're doing the swimming pool, we are actually, you're going to visualize yourself like you're going to take as big a breath as you can, and you're going to jump down into that water, and you're
Huh?
going to stay down at the bottom of the pool. You can play tea party. I love that you brought that into it. We can sit down there, we can look at each other and play tea party. And you don't want to do it so many times in a row that you pass out. I have a few people say, well, I'm getting lightheaded. I'm like, no, okay, just take a breath in between.
Yeah.
But as you're doing it, you just fill those lungs as big as you can. Just expand them as big as you can, and visualize yourself going down to the bottom of the pool, and you're just sitting there and you're relaxing it. Hold it as long as you can. And then as soon as you're ready, you're going to just blow it out, make big old bubbles in the water, come back to the surface again. And usually, typically, I'll say, you want to do it 3 or 4 times.
Mhm.
Do it a few times, because it really expands that. It has two benefits. You're working with your lungs, you're strengthening your lungs, you're keeping them healthy. There's also the benefit always when you're meditating, it puts you breathing like that, puts you in a place of deep, you can't, our bodies know how to breathe without us telling them. So if you really want to learn how to meditate, for those of you that don't really do it or you think you can't, the best way to meditate, the best way to get into meditation is just to start focusing on your breath. If you stay in that area where you're telling yourself how to breathe, then the mind shuts down. It doesn't start throwing all kinds of things at you because it's too busy. It's too busy trying to keep up with you breathing. And then, so even if you're only doing it 3 or 4 times, you're in deep meditation while you're doing that. It's like, think about it. Try to think about something else while you're trying to force yourself to breathe in a pattern. You can't do it.
Just
And the more we practice that, the more we learn what our bodies, our minds start to learn what it is to be awake. That I'm centered. I can't do anything. I'm right here. I'm in center. And that's so important right now for us, all of us. The breathing and the meditation, truly, you're talking about taking care of yourself, self-care. But people haven't started meditating yet, I really highly suggest now is the time to learn how to do this, because this is where you're going to find your peace when you're out in the middle of the grocery store or you're seeing these scary things on the news. Shut it all down. If you can only keep yourself focused for 2 minutes at first, do it for 2 minutes. Next time, try 3, then 5, and keep building yourself, because this is where you're gonna find your peace and you're gonna be able to get through this. It's so important. So if
absolutely.
you would like to, we can do a couple breaths down at the
Yes,
bottom
I
of the
would
pool together.
love to go to the bottom of the pool. That is so much fun.
So
Yes,
cool.
let's go to the pool.
Okay, so we're going to visualize this. This is going to be fun time. This is your inner child coming out to play, okay?
Hey, everybody, join in with us. We're going to go
Join.
play.
It's playtime and we're going to the swimming pool.
Yes.
So that swimming pool is so warm and comfortable. There's nothing scary about it. And you're perfectly safe all the time. And you have your little teacup with you. Everybody visualize a little teacup. We want to bring that. And so what we're going to do is we're sitting at the edge of the pool and we're going to take a big breath together. And I want you to expand your lungs as big as you can, because I want you to know that while you're going to, the bigger you make those lungs, the longer you're going to be able to stay down there. I'm going to go as long as I can. If I go longer than you, do not pass out. You blow out and you come back up. We're all going to have our own, however long you can handle it. Okay.
Okay.
So I want, on the count of 3, I want you to go ahead and we're taking our swim lessons. You ready? Take your little teacup.
Got my
On the
teacup.
count of 3, you ready? You're
Yep.
gonna take that great big breath, and then you're just gonna let yourself fall to the bottom of the pool. And all you're gonna hear is the sound of that water in your ears. Everything else is gone. Are you ready?
I'm
On the
ready.
count, take your big breath. 1, 2, 3. And fall. And hold. Just keep swimming. Up we come. How's that feel?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It reminds me of when I was a kid and we did that actually.
Can you see yourself? That's what I love about the
But I
visualizations.
used to
That's
do
what.
this. I used to like plug my
Me
nose,
too.
hold my nose will do this like that so that I would get to keep the water
Did you
out
learn
of
how to
my
plug?
nose.
I never have. I jumped from a cliff last year when we were in the mountains. I did that high dose, like 30 feet
I
down.
saw that
I
video.
had my nose plugged. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't lose this because I'll get water up my nose. I'm still, as an adult, I still plug my nose.
I do this. I do the honest to God. This is the ugliest face. I don't care. I love all you people out there. This is what I do. Like that. And it plugs up my nose. So I don't have to do that. Like that. So I won't do that here tonight. Well, I already did just twice.
I've never known to do that though. You just taught me something.
Yeah, it works better than this, and yeah, so.
That's great.
Are we going to do it again? I think
Now let's go down again. Let's do one more time.
Yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
All right. So you can play it as if you want to. Get your teacup ready.
I can't hold my teacup and hold my nose at the same time, so I got to hold my teacup.
It doesn't work. All right. So get your teacups ready. We're going to go down there. This time when we're down there, we're going to click our cups together, okay? We're going to do a little cheers.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, visualize yourself going. You take that breath. I'm not going to talk you through it this time. You take your big breath. Go ahead and let yourself fall down in there. And we're going to tap our cups together. We're going to stay there together for as long as we can. And then we're going to come back up. So you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yay! Met you at the top of the pool. That was fun.
Sharon Boyle says you're holding the saucer too, Jeryl. Yes, I was.
I was too.
I was holding my saucer in my cup. It's like a English or something.
It's always fun to have a tea party.
It does. It is. And it's like, it reminds me of, there was this British show that it was an animated film of these little babies swimming in the water, and they go, you say, I'm a baby? And that saying goes through my mind every time we do this. I think, you say, I'm a baby?
Cute.
I apologize to all of my friends in the UK for my horrible accent.
I'm no good at that either.
I like that, and my lungs feel good, and I also got a laugh out of it too. That's like the best of both worlds, right?
That's the best.
That was really nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we talked, so breathing, that's, doing these breathing exercises every day. And it's in exercise, and that's another thing, just exercise in general too, getting out, taking a walk, filling your lungs, and having that done. But I want to touch back just for a moment on meditation, because so many people are afraid of it. When we were younger, transcendental meditation was the thing, and it was very complicated, or at least I thought it was. And I always kind of talked myself out of meditation because I thought, well, it's just too complicated. I have this monkey mind when I sit, my mind is like, all over the place. But you brought up something really important that I want to go back to. For those who are afraid of meditating, you know, meditation comes in many, many forms. Just taking a walk and looking at the trees, clearing your mind, that's meditation. We have
Exactly.
such a strong misconception of it. And you brought up the breathing, just count your breaths and just go. You can even say in your mind, inhale, exhale, exhale. If you're doing that, you can't think of anything else. What are some other ways that, so people don't have to be so afraid of meditation?
I would say here I've got a couple of ways. One way, and my son actually came up with this one day, is to stop and like we're so inundated with our senses. Everything is going at the same time. Can you
Right.
stop and just use one of them? When I walk down to the waterfall, sometimes I'll just shut my eyes and I'm concentrating on this. I just want to listen for a few seconds. And I'm going to breathe while I'm doing it. And I'm listening. I'm completely engrossed in just the sound of that water coming down. That's the simplest way. We make it so difficult. But if you think about it, when children are very small, they know how to meditate. They meditate by daydreaming and doodling. When you're
Yes.
coloring a picture, when you're completely focused on that picture and you're just breathing and you shut everything else out, kids are really good at it. They can shut everything out. They're sitting at a desk in school and the teacher's up there talking, trying to do something, and they're like off in there, like coloring their little pictures of
Yeah.
castles and, or army guys or whatever it is that they're doing. They're not hearing a thing. We know we're born knowing how to meditate. It's just been taught out of us. So think of meditation as daydreaming for a little while instead of giving, if you don't like the word meditation, just give it a daydream. When you're daydreaming and you're imagining, you are meditating. It's focusing your energy on one thing and shutting down all the rest of it. That's a meditation.
And I love that you just used the word daydreaming. We are taught, and you're right, it is taught out of us. Quit doodling, quit daydreaming, get your head out of the clouds. And honestly, don't you think it's time for us to get our heads back into the clouds?
Most definitely.
Yeah, yeah. How do we do that? Just, I mean, how do we not, how do we not waste this time? With, in so many ways, this is such a gift we've been given. I mean, I know there's tragedy. Trust me, I do know that. But it is such a gift also. With every challenge, the greatest challenges bring us the greatest gifts. And I would, it would, I don't want anybody to get on the other side of this and go, oh, gee, I wished I would have. I had the greatest opportunity. So, how do we get our head more in the clouds and really take advantage of this time?
You got to get in the moment. When you're outside taking a walk, literally get your head in the clouds. Look up at the sky. It's so beautiful. See if you can find the shapes again. When the full moon is out, when it's a little sliver of a moon, whatever it is, take the time to live right here, right now, as often as you can. Stop always thinking about tomorrow, how you got to figure things out, we have a lot of things going on right now. I get it. There's a lot of concerns out there. Can you slow down and be in the space right now and say, wait a minute, I'm good right now. I got food in my house. I got a roof over my head. I'm healthy. I'm strong. Everything's okay right here, right now. And then in the next moment, you're going to do it again. And if you can't do that, then take yourself someplace where there's some beauty and let it just engulf you. You can't, like, I go outside and I start looking at the clouds and I start looking at the trees and the flowers and pretty soon I'm like, I can't even think about all those worries anymore because I'm just enjoying myself so much. That's what I would suggest to people is you got to shut it down and get out there and whatever way you got to do it. But you got to unburden yourself for a little while as much as you can and just be here now. Enjoy the next breath. You're not guaranteed. None of us are guaranteed. The past is already gone. We're not guaranteed another breath. So are you breathing right now? Is everything okay right now?
Mhm.
and let the next minute take care of itself.
Yeah, Terry and I talk about this a lot in the morning on our show, that how we treat this time that we're in right now is really going to determine what we see on the other side.
Mhm. Right.
You mentioned the news before. One of the things that I encourage people to do is turn off the news. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you can't, check in and, find out, what's going on. But I even asked my husband, I said, I want a gift from you. I want you to quit watching the news. He said, well, I have to watch the news to get the weather. I said, you have the Weather Channel. I have an app on my phone. You can wake me up 24/7. I do not care. I will tell you what the weather is. And if that doesn't work, we'll step outside, you know?
Mhm. Right.
And because what was happening to him, I don't watch the news. Um, what was happening is that he was getting so upset. He was getting so worked up
Mhm.
over people without their meds going crazy and stabbing someone and children getting shot. And, there is so much tragedy going on right now. And I get that. But when we focus on that, I could feel his energy in the other room.
Mhm.
And then it would get me out of alignment with myself. And so I, it is a very simplistic way of looking at this. But the one thing I have control over is my energy and what I'm putting into the collective consciousness. We are not separate. There's nothing separate about us. We are all part of the one. And so, as empaths, and most of these people that watch this show, and some aren't, but most are empaths. So, we all understand that whatever it is we're feeling, that's what we're putting out there. And if we keep our vibrations high and we focus on things that raise our vibrations, that's the one control we have over all of this, is
Mhm.
what we're adding to the collective consciousness. Are we going to live in fear, or are we going to live in love?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I choose love. And you know what? Since he's quit watching the news, he does watch the Weather Channel. And I hate to say it, but there's been so much tragedy with the weather, with the tornadoes and different things going on. But it's
Mhm.
not all the time. You know what I mean? So, he keeps up to date, but his whole demeanor has changed since he quit watching the news on a regular basis. So there are little things that we can do where we focus our energy and our attention right now is so critical for everyone. And
Mhm.
that's how we affect each other, I think.
Mhm.
So what are
That's what.
go ahead.
That was what was one of the little games that we played the other day that I feel is so important. It helps me to remember this, the kaleidoscope, because, when you got a kaleidoscope, it's this, we have two eyes. We're going to close this eye. So this eye is going to be the fear eye, and this eye is going to be the love eye. I'm going to close this one. I'm going to look at this one, and I'm going to point it at the sun. And when I say sun, for me, it's like not S-U-N, it's S-O-N, but you can, however you want to look at that.
Okay.
Um, but you point it at the light. We're looking at the light, and then it's refracting back. We're seeing these shapes, all these beautiful colors and all these beautiful shapes, and you can't stay in that fear response. It just shuts down your fear response when you visualize yourself looking at something beautiful. Look at the light, look at the sun, see the
Wow.
beauty, and it changes everything.
I love that. I love that. So um if there were one or two tips that you could leave people with that you really felt will help them, what would that be? What's the one thing that you would say to people? Gee, if you could do this, this will help you really get through this.
Breathing, relaxing as much as you can. Boy, there's so much, but I guess the most important things are just changing your filter. You've got to change. We really, like you just said, we only have two filters. We've only got the fear and the love. And so if we can move away from as much as possible, we're surrounded by it. And most of us that are here are empaths. And so not only are we being affected by the things that are going on in our lives, we're being affected by that collective consciousness. And it could be in the workplace, it could be in our home, it could be out in the grocery store. You walk in, it's like you hit a wall sometimes. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? I'm not used to people grabbing their kids and pulling them away from me out of fear. You know, usually I love kids and they love me. So it really can affect me. So I have to continually, that's the one thing that I hope people take away from this, is be responsible for that energy and take care of your own energy first before you walk out into that. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're in a place of love. And even if you got a mask on your face, keep on smiling and keep sending love out to those other people, because truly the most important thing, the reason that we're here right now, is to help with that that collective consciousness of bringing the vibration up on the planet. And we have got to be responsible. We're constantly creating from the energy that we are carrying. So if you're creating out of fear, we're just feeding the flame. This is a disease that comes out of fear. And the more afraid you are, the sicker you're going to get. And so if you can come back to the love, keep bringing it back, keep pulling that in, we're actually pulling the energy out of this thing by staying in the love. So I guess that's my most important thing tonight, is I hope people can, if you can't, we've got lots of exercises to help, but try to find that love space as often as you can.
And I think, and that's what a lot of us are doing. That's our whole goal, is to lift the vibration and to lift the love on the planet. And Diane, you're on most mornings at 10 a.m. But where can they find when you're going to be on your broadcasts? You're with Enlightened World Network now, correct?
Yes.
And you also come through Angelic River Family as well. That's
right. So I try to be really super polite as far as not overlapping on anyone else. So I typically will come on at 10 o'clock in the morning. If there's something else going on with Enlightened World Network, I will go on at noon. It's always 10 or noon, and usually almost always 10 o'clock. Tomorrow it'll be noon, because I know that there's a silent meditation at 10 o'clock. So you can look me up under my name, and I will always post there. I post on your Angelic River Family. So I try to keep it current. You just have to go to the page
here, because this is your Facebook address and your website, and then your email address also.
Exactly.
So Diane is amazing. I've known Diane for a lot of years, but I've really personally started working with you recently. And we're all about raising the vibration. We're all about love. We're all about helping every person get to the other side of this in the most intact way possible, and in the most loving and fun way possible as well. And I highly recommend her daily shows. I have so much fun. I mean, I really have fun, and I have my paints ready. I honestly, it's been really crazy lately, because a lot of us are doing so much to try to lift everybody else up. We're not taking all the time we need for ourselves. And tomorrow I have my paints ready, and I am going to sit, little Jeryl and I are going to sit, and we are going to paint tomorrow. So that's on our agenda. But I thank you so much. Your information is so amazing, and you are just the most beautiful soul I know. I am so blessed to call you my friend and my sister and my family. I love you to pieces, girl. You're just amazing, and this world is a brighter place because of you. So everyone, if you'd like to get a hold of Diane, here's her information. Please do so, and please check out her show. And it's called Come to the Playground. It's called Come to the Playground. And I should have put that up there too, but you can play this back if you want to know, okay? And next week, I'm going to have C. Megan Michael on with me. She's a medium. She's an amazing woman too. I am so blessed. I know the most incredible people. I mean, oh my gosh, what a fun fun gig this is to get to interview everybody and to do all this fun stuff. So I do hope you had a good time with us tonight. I hope you have several takeaways from what Diane shared with us. And I hope you'll come back and visit us next Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time again. Until then, have a very blessed week, everybody. Have a great day, a great evening, whatever it is. It might be bedtime for you. It might be dinner time for you. Who knows? But just have a really, really beautiful week filled with miracles, both big and small. Good night, everybody.